There's like the different types. There's the helicopter parents, which are just all over the kids. The kid trips, they pick them up right away rather than like letting them kind of figure it out. Then there's the dictator or like authoritarian, which is just like yell, scream, spank like all the time, very like intense. And then there's the firm and loving parent, right? Which is they call the consultant, which is like, hey, like this is how we act. That's you're wrong, so there's going to be a consequence. Let's talk about what you did wrong, so we can learn from this, right? And being very like present with that like teaching moment.
Carl and Mia, welcome to the podcast.
My man, thanks for having me.
What's going on? We're so excited to have you guys today. Before the episode, we were talking a little bit about everything that could have been podcast.
Could have been an episode in itself right there.
But we're going to talk about little content creation. Definitely focusing in on kind of that avatar. That was something we're nailing down. But Mia, you're your own kind of viral spectacle on social. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we're super excited to have you guys on the podcast. But Carl, let us know a little about what you're up to these days. I know you're producing a lot of content, but just give us the 411, man.
Yeah, man. So thanks for having us. This actually works out really awesome. We're down here in Tampa. Her sister, my older daughter, has the national cheerleading competition. So her team is ranked second in the country right now, which is crazy and wild. Dude, it's nuts. Yeah. And like, my daughters train relentlessly, and you can push them to train, but at the end of the day, as parents, we know it's like they've got to see results if you want them to also keep doing it. And you can't really like buy results. They have to actually have results. So for my oldest, for her team to have the success that they've won all 6 national competitions they've had so far this year, and this is like the Super Bowl in the cheer world. And so like them having a success, it's a lot easier being like, hey, you're training. Hey, you're doing this. Hey, you're doing that. Because like they actually see like the fruits of their labor. So we're down here for that. And I think one of the biggest pieces of advice like off the top is, like when you travel for stuff, like reach out. I was like, hey, who's in Tampa? Yeah. I'm like, I've got a massive following. Who's in Tampa? Matt was like, oh, dude, let's get together. I never would have gone through my thing and been like, all right, let me go find everyone in Tampa. We got to put it out there. So we're down here for cheerleading. Between the cheer world and her soccer world, we are all over the East Coast. And, like when they got really crazy into sports, I went from, I've got my MBA, I sold software for 20 years, and I was traveling 200 days a year. And I don't want to do that anymore. With them and their sports and what they're doing, like I'm going to be there. And so, I don't know, how long has it been? Like 4.5 years now. I switched gears completely and went into the content creation space. So like I know technology, I know platforms, and I was like, hey, I know how all this stuff works. I've been in the space for 20 years. Like, let's learn the video side of things. And so we've been making content together for 4.5 years now, and that's what we do. I shoot content for my clients. I post our life on social media. You can follow us. We're really easy to find because I'm the only Carl Eppolito that actually exists in the world. So I'm the easiest guy to find. Awesome. It's like
one of one.
It's for better or for worse. Like you need to find something out about me, you can put it in Google and probably find it.
I've actually done that. I went on Facebook and put it all like Matt Tack and Matthias Tack, Matt Tack. There was like 262 of them. No, man. That's impressive. Carl Eppolito, only one.
Just me. And that's what we do. We share a lot of our life. A lot of it's, insanely transparent. Our training, our faith is really big. We share a lot of that. And I share it with my daughters, which is probably the one thing I want to do the most in life. Yeah,
that's amazing, man. I'm a girl dad too, so I understand respect to these girls out here. Yeah. Mia, tell us about yourself. What are you working on nowadays?
So I'm normally like always busy with soccer, and so today I would normally have had soccer practice and tomorrow, but me and my sister, we always come out to support each other wherever it is. But if our things are at the same exact time, and say mine is really, really, really big, like this is really big for her, and if she didn't have something that's as big, and like I only have soccer practice, but she has like this huge cheer competition, I would miss mine for her. But for soccer, for me, she would come to my thing. Me and my sister have really close love with each other, and even though sometimes we can disagree on some things, but when we get older, me and my sister are having a ice cream store, and so me and my sister are really working on everything, and I like shooting content with my dad. I want to be a videographer and a photographer, So I normally do and edit things with my dad. I also make cool photos. I'll take a photo of like just something that's boring, and then I'll like edit it, and I can like put it as a different filter. I can do all that stuff because I look at what my dad does. But we always put faith first. We always follow God and do everything that God has planned for us. And so we always make sure we have our school done, we have our reading done, and then we can do our soccer, or I can do my soccer, she does her cheer. We then can do what we would like to do, but first we have to do what we have to do to do what we want to do. My dad told me that since day one that I've been doing soccer. We always put our heads towards our goals, and we always work for our goals. That's one thing that we do in our family, and we have 3 really main rules: love, kindness, and respect. It's respectness to everybody, and it's loving and kindness that God would want us to do, and we glorify Him and do everything that He does. We pray a lot. We do a lot of things in His name, and we make sure that if we have a bad moment, we don't ruin that. We don't make that ruin our day or that night or the next day. We just always look forward.
I love that.
That
is fire.
Yeah, Carl,
Drop
you
the
can
mic
probably,
right
if
there.
you want to go, you can. We'll just have to do her. Like,
None of that was rehearsed. I'm like, that's just...
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Oh,
Definitely,
man,
she
good answer.
gets it, man.
Holy cow, man.
That's it. I mean, that's all about that level of discipline, right? Just building that discipline in early. And you know what is really cool? And it's something that I feel like sometimes as parents, and obviously you're doing an incredible job, but like how we forge that bond as a family unit, and instead of like, hey, you go here and you go here. One really cool thing you said is, I can take a break from what I'm really good at to go support my sister. Mm-hmm. And that's super imperative in terms of like that level of empowering your sister. Because although your sister is older than you, right?
Yes.
So she's your older sister. One cool thing is that you're a leader. You're a
Thank
leader. And you lead your sister just like your sister leads you. That comes in parallel. So that's awesome that you're like, you know what, I'm going to lead. I'm going to show my friends that I can support my sister. I love that. And that you take your faith so seriously. So that do we want to end the podcast, or do we want to keep going here?
Yeah. The piece about their bond that's so special, it's really hard for me to explain because I don't wish it on anybody. And what I mean by that is it was actually a month before their 2nd and 4th birthdays when their mom and I split. And so they've been going between 2 houses for 7 years now. And especially those very, very early years, like all they had was each other. It was them going between 2 houses, at 2 and 4, trying to figure out like this is just dad and this is just mom and what's happening. So they just had each other. And that bond, it's so weird to talk about because I'm obviously so proud of it. I wish that I think every sister needs a sister, but I also don't wish it on anyone the way that they formed it, if that makes sense.
I mean, I get it, yeah.
And it's turned into this incredible thing where she does. I mean, if they both have a game and they both have a competition that's separate, but like they are front and center. Like Soph, our older sister, does not miss a soccer game or a basketball game. And if they're early in the morning, it isn't like, hey, like you get to sleep in. Like, no, like you will be there. And I mean, and conversely, like she will be the loudest person that arena tonight. For sure. The other side is if things don't go as planned, and you have a loss or you have a setback, she's the first one giving a hug. Like there will be times where like Soph might be like, I just want Mia. I'm like, that's what's up. Because like, God willing, I'm here till I'm 120, but like they're going to outlive me and they're going to have each other. And she was talking about the ice cream thing. So what's the name of your ice cream store?
So we are going to have the ice cream store. It's called Sprinkle Explosion. And we are going to have it in Temecula, California.
That's where I grew up.
I was
like,
that's
fascinating.
very specific.
Yeah, I was like,
love
why? Yeah.
No,
Nice. Cool.
so they come to me and they go, Dad, after college, would it be cool if we moved to California? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? Like, yeah, I'm in. Let's go. We have like a little thing. It's like, hey, wherever you go, I go. It's like we're in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? And they were like, would you be okay if we open an ice cream shop? And I'm thinking to myself, like, let's go. Like, why are we waiting until college? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
They have like this whole business plan thought out. Like, so how is the ice cream going to be like made? Like, what's the secret sauce?
I actually learned it in school that all of the ice cream, it actually starts from a dairy farm. And so this summer we were actually going to go to a dairy farm because my dad's friend actually...
Shout out Ben Wilson up in Michigan, the dairy farm.
The dairy farm has been passed on for generations and it's his. And so we were going to go down there and I actually learned that it all came from a dairy farm. And so what you do is you put these machines and you take all the milk from a cow and then you package it up and you send it to this place. And that's where all the process of the ice cream is being made. And so they take the dairy farm, the milk, and they put it in with all different flavors. And me and my sister, we actually want to make more different flavors because we want to make sure that every customer gets what they want.
You obviously want to add sprinkles too, right?
Yeah, so if they...
She's very processed. Or it's just so funny listening.
She's
to her.
already got her sourcing down. So it's like,
And her sister is
knows
like,
where she's
her
going.
sister is the polar opposite, right? So Soph's like, all right, so we want ice cream that has like whatever your additive is, the sprinkle is actually in, like, it's almost like a surprise, like it's in the ice cream. It's not like toppings. It's like everything's a part of the actual ice cream, and so it isn't like cookie dough flavored. It's cookie dough ice cream, but I want like this. I want the stuff in it, like actually like part of this whole experience.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I know exactly what she's talking about. And I actually prefer it in the ice cream. Like, I've tasted that. I know what you mean.
So we're actually going to make this Sprinkle Explosion special. And so it would kind of be like a gelato, but where the ice cream would be like on the inside, in the middle of the water ice, right there would just have like a scoop of sprinkles with whipped cream around it. To act like it's the ice cream, but it isn't the ice cream. It's a bunch of sprinkles and whipped cream, and it's kind of like...
It's a whole experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like a big surprise of just sprinkles.
It's so funny, man. Like, it really... Watching them go through this has been another awesome teaching moment, though, because sports obviously they don't last forever. It's like our big thing in the house with sports is you become very dedicated to something. And then it's all the lessons that we learn that come from the actual sports.
Right.
Look, if you play in college, that's awesome, right? But what are you going to do at 30 in soccer? Nothing, right? Maybe train, maybe whatever.
Such a small percentage go to professional.
But even that, right? We're talking like football, baseball, basketball, hockey make money.
How old? Yeah.
So even Lloyd, like it doesn't even matter.
How old was she when she retired, Carly Lloyd? Is that right?
Yeah. So she's actually from. It's funny. So she's from where we live.
Yeah, New Jersey.
Yeah,
right?
But even her, right? Like the only reason Carly Lloyd makes money right now is branding.
Marketing, advertising.
Right? Yeah. Her actual name, image, and likeness, right? Like her branding makes her more money than anything else.
Right.
So my point is that it's all the things that they're going to learn between now and 18, now and 22. And they brought this idea to me. You also learn what's broken in the school system very quickly. Like, we don't do homework in the house. I'm like, I don't bring my dirty dishes to school and ask you to clean them. Right? So, like, I got my kids for 8 hours.
Me and Matt were just talking about schooling earlier. I could talk about this.
Yeah. I mean, they go to a
actually.
private Catholic school. I go to a non-denominational Christian church, but it's for the structure of, like, what's in and not in school. So I'm super pro that. And then outside of it, Patrick Bet David has a great thing where reading is currency in their house. And I was like, taken that one. That's great. So they got to read. How many pages a week do you have to read?
So a week is 70 as the entire week, but just Monday to Friday at the end of the entire school week, we have to read 50 a week.
Right. On average, if you have a day where you get behind,
You gotta
catch up. Some days you have more time on your hands. Like they're learning all about like the accountability aspect. They've had days where her and her sister, it's like Sunday, and I'm like, yo, you got 35 pages. Like, get after it.
Let's go. Yeah.
That's on you. So we've learned those kinds of things. But what's been really fun, what I've learned is I'm like, we talked about it last night, right? So if you sell ice cream for $5, what's that number called? Your top line revenue.
Right.
Right. So if you cost $2, that's your cost. And what's 5 minus 2?
3.
And that's your
Profit.
There you go. So we did all of we're doing like the whole profit analysis. We're doing cost, analysis. And I'm like, they don't learn. When are you going to learn this?
If you want to hear your question answered live on the show, submit it to ask@fullfuel.com. Check out the Optimizers program where we build max muscle, improve longevity, and get guys freaking shredded so that they can crush it at life for as long as possible.
Live full fueled, live beyond limits, baby.
That's my whole take on the school system is like you're learning all these, I hate to even, maybe we'll just go here. But you're learning all these things that somehow, they kind of don't matter. Like a lot of the mathematics that you learn nowadays, dude, I got a calculator in my pocket. I can do most of that stuff. I can Google it, right? My take is like kids should be learning nutrition. Kids should be learning how to live a healthy life, finances and economics, which like I got none of until like high school, right? And then you're supposed to go out and like try to, and then even through like college and graduate school, man, there's like not much of that, right? You're so specialized. I was specialized in chiropractic medicine and exercise science. And it's like, now how do I monetize this, right? So then like a lot of it was like learning it on my own, reading, learning. Sure. So I agree with you. I think
my boy, Scott Donald, shout out to Scott Donald. Dude is an absolute monster, but he just started, he's like disrupting that industry right now. He has this app called Gravy Stack. And so we're using that. And then he has the conversation setter. It's called Dinner Table. For kids, he starts them really at 6 years old, but you teach them earlier. So you start like kind of like having those foundational educational trainings. And then at 6 is when he gamifies the system. And so they understanding what top line revenue is. So what we do in our house is like if they want something, which is considered a liability to watch something, well, did you read 3 books? You can earn money for reading your books, but then as soon as you choose to like take your iPad, which you can take your iPad, I want you to like have that decision making power, because like decision making is a good thing too, for sure, to like educate them on. But that is going to cost you $2. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so then they're like, ooh, all right, maybe I'll read a few more books. Or like we do like educational, like if they're on YouTube and they can do something in math or whatever, they have a lot of things online through school too. We have them a little bit, and I 100% agree with you kind of like on the homework piece, because when our kids come home, they're in a language immersion program. So they're learning Spanish. And so when they come home, we're speaking English, which I try to, like, I'm learning Spanish too, but like their mind is like fried. For like, sure. Absolutely fried from like 8 hours. Like,
they need to move.
Yeah. So I get that, like that decompression, but like finances is such a big thing and important to talk about money. Like we want to stray away from money. It's like, we were even talking about this, like, no, we're going to be forward with this. We're going to talk about financial literacy and how that works and how an 8-year-old, like you asked before this, talk to her like she's a person. Like don't talk to her she's like an 8-year-old, right? We don't need to talk down. She'll learn. She knows what top line revenue, what COGS are, and what your net gross profit is.
Of many guests we've had on our show, you know what I mean? Like yeah. I agree, man, 100%.
There's a lot of psychology behind that between the parent-child relationship. I want them to respect authority, but I also don't want them to ever fear a man or anybody. I don't want them to fear authority. I want them to respect authority. We talk a lot of times eye to eye. I don't want them to look at people talking down on them and them making decisions based on being talked down to or talked, everything's eye to eye. All the rules in our house are exactly the same, right? So they're not allowed to yell, but I'm also not allowed to yell. And the big lesson there is like, you're not responsible for other people's actions. It's not like, well, you made me yell. Well, that doesn't make my yelling okay. Yeah. And I'm not perfect. Right. So when you're quick on that one. Like, but if I yell, even if they do something wrong and I yell, what do I have to do?
You apologize.
No matter what, right? Because I yelled and I'm responsible for those actions. Yeah. I also have to do what else? If we step out of line,
50 push-ups.
Well, no. Worse than that.
So in our backyard we have this hill, and we have to do 25 of those. And
25.
And it's really not that fun. It's
Sounds not that fun.
It's not fun.
Yeah, that's why that makes you don't want to do it.
So we've at elementary school, like right behind our house, and there's a red bench, like up against the wall of the school, and there is a decent. It's a gradual hill, and the last 10 yards is not fun.
Yeah. And
they got to run from like the tree to that red bench. I tell you what, when they're older, they will never sit on a red bench. It'll be definitely. I'm definitely, unfortunately, instilling some trauma with red benches, 100%. But it is a down and back. You cannot stop to get a drink of water until you do how many? 5. Like, it is not a fun experience. And what I learned was that, one, I think like language is on me. I can think of 1,000 better words than what the is your problem, right? Like I have 1,000 options better than that one. But I'm human. If I slip that curse word, that's at least 10 to 15 for me on those sprints. But one of the big lessons in our house is if your emotions win,
we lose.
Right. If your emotions win, you lose. It's in everything. And the minute that happens, like, there's consequences. And what I'd rather them learn is the consequence of 25 sprints is so much easier than the consequence of a lost relationship, a lost client, our consequences only get bigger, and they don't know that yet, obviously. So they can learn through experience, which sucks, or they can learn with hating a red bench. And I would just much rather them hate a red bench, and hopefully as they get older, we're all going to slip. But biting your tongue once, and I think the pandemic probably taught a lot of people a lot of lessons. A lot of people had views on certain things. I know I had my views for sure, and you didn't view the pandemic the way that I viewed it. You were happy to tell me that you didn't view it the way that I viewed it. And I look back on it, and I'm glad that I know where a lot of people stand in life, sure. But I also am like, don't you wish that, like, we could probably hang out now? Like, don't you wish that, like that bridge is broken?
Yeah, it was such a weird thing that, like friends were all of a sudden like, oh, you think that? Like, we're not friends anymore. So it was such a weird, and that was the goal of the whole thing, was divide, right? Like, the media really pushed that, man, like, trying to, like, split people up for sure.
It broke up families.
Yeah.
It got in the middle of. And so I'm like, yo, like, if your emotions win, you lose on the athletic field for sure. And so no, that daggum hill, is super real. And the other big rule we have is what are the 2 rules in soccer, a game?
Run fast and play hard.
That's it. I don't care how many goals you score. You can score 3 goals. I'm like if you chasing results, that's gonna happen. If you exhaust yourself, and she's come home from games, I'm like, did you exhaust yourself? And she'll be like, I could have played a little harder. I'm like, well, I didn't just waste my Saturday, and Sophie didn't just waste her Saturday. So go in the backyard. Like, one way or another, you will be exhausted. You have a choice. You can exhaust it on that field, or you can exhaust it in the backyard. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, get it out. Yeah.
One of you have, it's super up to you. And there's definitely been days where, like, after your game, if I said keep your cleats on,
yes,
you've kept them on. And then there's been days where you haven't scored at all. I've asked you, did you run fast and play hard? And what did you say?
Yes.
And she has.
And how does it feel when you exhaust yourself and lose? Like, you feel like, man, I gave it my all, right? But when you don't exhaust yourself and lose, and you're like, dang, I could have tried a little harder, that feeling hurts a little bit more, right?
Yes.
I've been there, man. And you're like, gosh, like, if I would have just hustled on that last play, maybe that wouldn't have happened, you know? And then you kind of eat yourself up. But if you're like, dude, I did everything I could. I put it all out there, and we lost. It's okay. Like, we lost, right? Losing happens. I love that, though, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Definitely instilling some warrior mentality in these girls.
Well, have you seen those books, The Way of the Warrior Kid by Jocko?
I have, yeah. I haven't read them, but yeah.
I'm actually reading them. I'm on the second book. And so the first book was about hard work. And because this boy, Mark, he's like the main character. And so what happened was, on last day of school, there's always these activities. And one activity is pull-ups. He can't do any, though. it was his turn doing pull-ups, and there's this big bully, Kenny Williamson. And so what happened was they all count and watch everybody, and Kenny knew fair and square he couldn't do any because he's like the big bully. And so he's the one who made him try, at least, to do the pull-ups, and made him do the pull-ups. When he counted, Mark was trying very, very, very hard to at least get one, but he couldn't, and Kenny just kept on shouting like 0, big fat 0. And then through the entire summer, his Uncle Jake came, and he's a Navy SEAL. And so he trained him and pushed him every single day, every morning workout. His goal was to get 10. Halfway through the summer, he got one. And then it was a long way. And his Uncle Jake, and he also didn't know how to swim. And every year they would have a field trip to this lake. He can't swim, and everybody would get to go in the lake. And it was so hot out, and so he'd rather be in the lake than just on the sand, on beach chair. And so they went out to the lake every day and trained for at least 2 hours. By the end of the summer, he was going to jump off a very high bridge. He'd jump off the bridge, and then he accomplished what he needed to do. And he said that felt amazing, that I accomplished this. And so what they talked about in the first book was discipline. And so it's all about hard work, and every day, it's a different,
everything.
Right, and if there's a difference between getting and earning. If you just get what you always want, you'll never actually know what it is to work hard. And so Mark was kind of like he was just getting everything, and then his Uncle Jake came, and he learned, and so he got pushed so hard every day. And now I'm reading the second book, and he can do
What's the second book about, though?
So it's called Mark's Mission, and there's a new bully, because in the last book he fixed Kenny Williams' problems with being a bully, because he actually stood up to him on the first day of 6th grade. I started it last week. I'm on page 90.
Well, you should be, because you got to get 70 pages in. No, go ahead.
And so
She's doing the math in my head real fast. I saw that. And the second book's about emotions, right?
Right, it's keeping your emotions in check.
So the book is good job, good summary.
Thank you.
I've heard about the books before, and then she read Tim Tebow has an autobiography for kids.
Cool.
Which is amazing. Highly recommend.
Okay.
I try to get her to read, Mia Hamm has a book, like the great soccer player.
Yeah.
And her name's Mia, and they're both number 9. Thought she'd be all about this book. She just didn't get into it. Like, I don't...
okay.
I'm like, dude... And then if she, like, misses her day, I'm like, start over. I'm like, if you can't do what you just did and, like, tell me the story, I can tell you didn't read it. So it's just not clicking. She gets the Tim Tebow book, flies through it. She's like, oh, did you know his parents were missionaries? And, like, he was born on a mission. And she's telling me, I'm like, clearly you read the book.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and she's like, John, our address is 316. And she's like, Dad, your middle name is John, and John 316, and he wears 316. And so I find these Way the Warrior Kid books. She flies through the first one, obviously knows exactly what happened. She's halfway through the second one, and she's like quoting different things. It's like, oh, if your emotions win, you lose. Talks about emotion, controlling the emotions, earning everything in discipline. I'm like, dude, somebody reinforced. Thankfully, it's not just Dad beating this into them.
Yeah.
But yeah, finding books that like your kids can grab a hold of. Wild difference, huge change.
Yeah.
And so his mom, her brother was his Uncle Jake. And so when Mark's mom found out that they were doing all this stuff, she stopped giving him everything that he just wanted. And she threw out all the junk stuff in her pantry and in her fridge, whatever. And she's like, I just went to the grocery store and I have no junk. From now on, Mark, you're going to be just eating healthy for the entire summer. at first, Mark, he was not happy, but he learned what it took with discipline and everything about hard work, and he got inspired by his Uncle Jake. And so what happened was he has been feeling amazing, Mark, because he has been accomplishing things because he knows how he worked hard. And now in the second book, it's about keeping your emotions in check. And so Nathan, he's making him want to just like lose his emotions, making him turn all red. And he did that twice. And so the first time he did that, it was on the last day of school, and he got sent home from the principal's office because he threw a pumpkin. It didn't have all like the seeds in it, so because people were like painting them, and so it wasn't one of those like really hard ones. It was a small one too, and so he threw one at Nathan's head, and it hit the teacher.
As always, this episode is brought to you by Nutritious, convenient optimized superfood nutrition powered by Nutropix, designed to elevate your physical and mental performance no matter what life throws at you. Nutritious has been proven to improve cognition, boost memory, and speed up mental and physical processing. Alfie, tell everyone where they can get it.
Yep, head on over to Nutup.com to experience these benefits for yourself and live beyond limits today.
Oh,
It bounced off of his face and hit the teacher, and so he got sent to the principal's office. And
it's similar, not with a pumpkin though. I was trying to hit a friend, and I threw up like it was like a little paper ball. He ducked, and it hit the teacher. And got sent out to the principal.
Super quick way of that happening. I tell you, but no, finding things that like can reinforce. So it's not just like this is dad stuff.
Yeah,
this is dad's whatever.
Yeah.
Man, it's like a cheat code. Absolutely, I clean the pantry out. I'm like, yeah, we have a super lean house, and it's not any fun. Like, going to their mom's house is way more fun than probably being in our house for, like, all the snacks. And then, like, the book doesn't have snacks anymore. She's like, well, the book doesn't have snacks. Maybe it's great that we don't have snacks.
I'm pretty strict with my kids, too. And, like, man, I've been going through this book called Raising Mentally Strong Kids, Dr. Daniel Amen, and he's a child psychologist.
Yeah.
Kind of blending the psychiatry with the neurobiology and how...
Wait, it's a white book. It's a white cover, and it has... I actually just saw this book.
Really good book,
That's
man.
really interesting.
Highly recommended, because my kids were...
I was on a date at Starbucks, and she is a coach, and that was the book she picked out.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. No, really good, man.
I kid you not.
It's, it's just like kids are reinforced by the way we respond. And so, like, I'd say my early parenting years, I have twin boys. They were born 8 weeks early, so they're preemie, they were colicky. There was so much anxiety around being a dad, man, because I was working and then coming home to screaming babies. So, like, my response has always been very, like, edgy. And they pick up on that. And so, like, I've had to totally tone it down and change it. And now it's like when I hear them complain or whine about something, or they're at the age, they're 3, they start to argue with me.
A little bit.
And I'm like, no. Rule number 1, we don't argue. Okay? We're going to figure out what's going on. What's the problem? Right? And it's, he took my car. There's 20 other cars right there. You guys have enough cars, right? We're not going to fight over these stupid cars, or the cars are going to go away, right? And so, like, as soon as I say that, they're like, there you go. And the problem solved, right?
Yeah,
so it's like keeping my composure, whereas, like, like, transparently, I grew up where it was a loud Italian household. My dad was kind of quicker to, like, yell, and it was like, if he got involved, everyone was like, oh, shit, Bob's involved. But, like, I'm trying to change that model for my family, right?
Breaking generational patterns is not for the faint of heart. It never goes well for the person doing it, right? You're going to get, you're going to get outcast because it's like, wait, why you got to change something about, like, what was wrong with the way that you grew up?
Oh, yeah, and there's flack from that, for sure.
I grew up in a house that I even told the girls a little bit about it. I grew up in a house that was full of yelling, full of cursing, always fighting. And it's so twisted because my dad knew my ability, and he had no idea how to get it out of me. So it was fear, it was yelling, it was cursing, it was lengths that very frowned upon in today's world and should have been frowned upon then too. And I just remember, like, I can tell you where I was when I was 12 years old after a bad baseball game. I'm 39. I can tell you sitting in a car in Temecula, California, driving home and thinking to myself at 12, I never want my kids to hate me because I hate my dad. Once I had kids, and I'm very lucky that God gave me 2 daughters. I don't know what I'd be like with sons, and I'll admit this. I don't know what I would have been like. I know where my intelligence level was. I know my athletic pedigree, and so I would have already known what the expectation would have been. But daughter's mentality has always been, I don't care what you do, we're going to do it the best that we possibly can do it. There's only one person that has your last name. Have you seen that movie Molly's Game? It's about the girl that ran. She ran. Have you ever heard about the big poker game with like Dan Bilzerian? Like Dan Bilzerian, you've heard his name before? Yeah. It's like he got his name because he played in this big poker game. Yeah. Like Alex Rodriguez played in it. A bunch of Hollywood people played in this poker game. She's the person who started it. Oh, okay. She's an ex-Olympic skier who got hurt. She was brilliant though, and it's the story of how she got hurt. And one of her things is like, there's nothing worse in the world than fourth place at the Olympics. And like she was chasing her Olympic dream. She gets hurt and she gets into this world of high-end poker, and then she ends up being the one who runs the game. It's the craziest story. That's cool. Super true. Yeah. And so it's wild in that regard. Two of her best quotes is, she says, her attorney asked her if he's being tough enough on his daughter. And she says, do you know how many women in the Olympics have tough dads? And he goes, how many? And she says, all of them. He goes, she goes, be harder. And I've always taken that to a certain degree. You have to go as hard as you can go. Yeah. Oh, because she says, so get back to her. She's not taking a plea deal because she knows what she did wrong and what she didn't do wrong. And she wasn't going to take a plea deal because her whole thing was like, there's only one person that has my name, and that means a lot to me. And I didn't do what they say I did. So I'm not taking the plea deal. And he's like, you're going to jail. And without giving away the whole ending, she's like, the whole reason she didn't, she goes, that's my last name. And I was like, if my daughters are in their mid-20s and they take anything away from life, like their name just meaning so much to them. You know, like, look, Jesus died on the cross for what he stood for. Like, if anyone could have fixed his situation, it was him. Yeah. And she was willing to go to court because that was her name. And I was just like, man, if my daughters are like, this is my name and that matters. And this is what's right. And I will stand for that. I've never forgotten it. So I've always been like, look, you will go hard no matter what we're going to go into. But we're going to do it differently. Like, we're not yelling and cussing. Yeah. I'm not going to scare you into success.
Well, that's the concept of like being firm and loving. And in this book, it talks about, right, there's like the different types. There's the helicopter parents, which are just all over the kids. The kid trips, they pick them up right away rather than like letting them kind of figure it out. Then there's the dictator or like authoritarian, which is just like yell, scream, spank like all the time, very like intense. And then there's the firm and loving parent, right, which is they call the consultant, which is like, hey, like this is how we act. That's you're wrong, so there's going to be a consequence. Let's talk about what you did wrong, so we can learn from this, right? And being very like present with that like teaching moment, which that's where I'm trying to shift to. No. I feel like my default is to be more of like authoritarian. I was raised with a lot of like just yelling discipline like that, and so like naturally that's my default is to like fly off the handle.
But I think you can be an authoritarian. Like at 3, they have to have guidelines in life.
For sure.
Like how you choose to be an authoritarian, I think really, really matters. I mean, like at 3, we had an insanely strict house, and I will definitely tell you, the way they act now is 1,000% attributed to what I did and didn't let happen between 2 and 4.
For sure.
And 4 and 6. Like you get past 6, it gets real hard changing behavior. You get past 8, it gets really hard changing behavior. Past 8, you need it. I mean, it would take a lot to change behavior. Yeah. You know, if they would get upset about things, it would simply be like, I can't talk. You got to tell me what's up. Yeah. Because the way that you're sharing with me what's up, I'm not understanding. Right. So this matters to you. And we would talk. We talked relentlessly about that. And I see kids all the time. I mean, there's 1,000 cheerleaders, right? All these girls throwing fits. I look at them. I'm like, yo, just so we're on the same page. Like that doesn't fly, right?
Yeah. We don't do that. Yeah.
I dated a girl once, and her daughters came around, and she had a daughter that shared her emotions however she wanted to. And I remember Mia looked at me. I won't say her name, and she goes, you know, if they ever like moved in with us, she's like, we'd have to talk about like her behavior, wouldn't we?
There'd be some changes.
And I was like, yeah, you got it. You pick up on it.
Good stuff, yeah. That's great.
You know what's up with that. I believe in a lot of this stuff though, to my core, like raising
standards.
Strong women,
my personal belief is that like so many times we act on how our parents treated us, exactly what we're saying. Like that's learned behavior. And so then it becomes introspection, reflection, and understanding what kind of the root cause of like how I adapt. I just remember like I had, from an introspection standpoint, like I remember I was a bad kid. I mean, I was bad.
Me too.
And what my mom would do to my dad though is my dad he'd coach basketball for many years. I'd be at home, I'd be bad. As soon as your dad gets home, you got to go back to the room because he's going to spank you. How awful was that for my dad? My dad comes in. He knew I was a bad kid, so he's like, all right, I'll spank him. And then he just hauled. Like, my dad just hauled off on me, right? So that's what I remember of my dad and, like, what discipline looked like. Mm-hmm. And not controlling your emotions, right? My dad, like, was pretty good. Phenomenal basketball player. You talk about, like, pedigree. My dad was a 2-sport athlete at the University of North Dakota. Like he came from that, so he expected a lot out of me. So like I was always in it to see what his opinion was for everything.
When you brought that up the other day, we were talking about like sports, like the jitters you get before games. My jitters came from like Pop's going to be there. Like right. Am I going to score a goal tonight and Pop see me? Right. Yeah. And like a lot of that was that nervousness. If he didn't show up, I played better. How 100%. Weird is that, dude? Like,
I'd be like more at ease.
Yeah,
and like, a lot of stem from that, right? Yeah. But like something I coach my daughters through. So we're into golf. So golf's kind of like our sport. But golf has so many different dynamics to it where it's not like team oriented. Like you're not focused. You're like you're yourself, right? It's you. And so you're like with your mind like a lot, right? And you got to kind of work through that. But like on the emotional side, like going back to like how like my mom didn't want to spank me, so she waited for my dad, and I was like, dang man, like I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to come into our house.
That's your job now.
And like that's my job to spank my kid because like he was bad that day for my mom. Mm-hmm. And so like what we do now is like, and I've gotten a lot better at it. I'm not gonna lie. For like the first couple of years like of parenting 3 girls, I'm just like, I'm like, what the heck? Like pick this up. Like, dude. But like through just the process of being able to like look in their eyes, mm-hmm. I'm actually going to take something from you guys though. Like there's got to be a punishment if I like don't do that, right? Like I don't think I have enough punishment of like running. Like I gotta sprint 100 yards, at full pace. But that element of like we will all go into the house. I'll like if there is a bad day, like we sit down, we talk about it, be like, just tell me your feelings. I want to know not that I'm trying to be soft with you. I want to know what's going on in your head. Like, I just want to know, like, what's going on in your head, Genevieve, that you can't talk to me why you just like coming out and just being super aggressive. And a lot of times, like this just happened a couple weekends ago. My wife was gone for the weekend. Of course, we had been to Europe. She's gone for a weekend. And it was 100% her reaction to that, right? Mm-hmm. My wife's gone for a period of like 14 days. I'm there with the kids. And she's like, I miss mom. Like, that's what ultimately was the culmination of it. I was like, do you need a hug right now? Yeah. Is that what you need? Is a hug?
You get on her level. I miss mom too, right? And it's like now you're in the same, same field. Yeah.
Like, so we get on the same playing field and then we walk through it.
It's a huge thing.
But making that flip of, like, I kind of wanted to lash out, like, sometimes, like, with my dad and just, like, be angry. But I was like, if you can control your emotions, man, you have power.
You have total power. There's so much in what you just said, too. I mean, one of the biggest things, I heard a pastor a few years ago, and he was saying, you know how we hated cutting the grass when we were kids? We hated it. And then all of a sudden, like, you get a yard, and you love it. Like, what happened?
I don't love it.
Dude, I love it. My yard, I'm like looking at it. And he goes, what happened? And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, I don't know. What happened? He goes,
I'll pay somebody for that.
He goes, it became your yard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's wild.
Ownership. Yeah.
Our house, our car, everything is ours in our house. It's never, and if I say, I'll be out, I gotta go like my house, whatever. And they will be like, our house? I'm like, you're right, it is our house. Mm-hmm. Cleaning the house, real easy. Hey, can you help go clean our kitchen? Can you help clean up, make sure that was a wild thing. And then we all believe in learned behavior, right? Mm. So if we all believe in learned behavior, you don't think that they're going to learn about how, like, we treat them? Or, hey, Dad, if you don't chase your goals. Here's a great example. Last night, you got pissed at me, didn't you?
Yes.
Like, really, really mad. And what did I break last night?
Hey, if there's somebody that I trust with my absolute life, it's Dr. Alfred Alessi. I'm telling you, I perform at the highest level because of Alessi Functional Health. Not only does he have prominent chiropractic care, but he has new soft wave technology that allows me to optimize my performance in my game and keep me going strong all day, every day. And if you're in the Tampa area, I highly advise you to click on the link below and book your appointment today at AlessiFunctionalHealth.com.
So Daddy does this thing called 75 hard.
Yeah.
And last night he was doing really good. He was almost on day 9. Today would be day 9 for him, but he had ice cream.
And so me achieving, I've done it. I've completed it a couple years ago, but me achieving it, she's like, "Yo, we're chasing all of our dreams. We're chasing all of our goals. You can't chase one." And I know that she's been like wanting me to do it. I guess I didn't take it super serious. That she's been like, "Hey, like." And I've got a big race. I'm doing Everest 29. You guys know what that is?
Mm-hmm. No.
So I got to climb Snow Base in Utah 15 times in 36 hours. And if I can summit 15 times in 36 hours, that's equivalent to 29,000 feet, which is the equivalent of Everest. So like you hike up, take a gondola down. You hike up, and it's 2 miles up. I got to go 2 miles up to get about
30 miles, right?
Yeah, I got to do 30 miles. But it also, you said you hike. So it starts at 6,500 feet elevation.
Yeah.
So I'm already at elevation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's not like they do like 6 different mountains.
I got a hack for you too.
Are you training with a mask for that?
No, I need to. It's a whole separate thing.
Oh, right.
We can go into that. I was gonna go out there to train, and they were like, "Don't, like, you can't get acclimated. Even if you go out there for a week, you won't get acclimated. Like, so there's no point in flying out for a week and training it out to do because you'll come home and it's not gonna have any impact." I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Exactly. Yeah, you have to live there. Yeah.
But the point is that like I'm training for things, but she was like, it wasn't what she could see, and so like last night, she like flips on me, like the switch flips, and we're leaving, and like even though her mom and I aren't together, like we're still like tight, and they have a hotel, they've got a hotel room, I got a hotel room, whatever. They gave us 2 kings, and so I didn't want all 3 girls in one room because my oldest, she's trying to compete in national championships, so she needs to like sleep. I'm like, "Yo, Mia, you'll stay in my room." We've stayed in tons of hotels, and she goes, "Well, I don't want to sleep in the same bed as Dad. Like, boys and girls should be in the same bed." And I'm like, "Love where your mind's at. 100% true. What's really going on? Like, why you don't want to go back to the hotel with me?" And in my head, I'm like, great. If I was another parent and I heard this, I would be like, "Why is my daughter acting suspicious? What's happened? Like, what's going on? Like, what don't I know?" And I'm like, this isn't a funny joke, Mia. Like, what? I'm like, people are going to hear you say this, and like they're going to interpret different things. And I'm like, you don't want to be in the same room as your dad. You're a girl. It's my mind spiraling. Like, what's going on? Like, this is the wrong lie.
Yeah.
Like, and she doesn't understand like the depth of how bad like this lie looks. And I'm like, so I'm getting pissed. And so she goes up to the hotel room to get her PJs to come over to my hotel, and it finally clicks on me that like she's pissed that I had that ice cream. Like her whole demeanor changed. So her and mom come back downstairs, and I look at her, and I sit her down, and I'm like, "How mad are you that I broke 75 hard?" And she's like, "It's like 80% of the reason why I'm mad right now." And I was like, "Thank God you said that in front of your mom." Like, I was like, okay, and it was good for her mom to also witness, because her mom doesn't always witness like how I parent. And so we talked all about it last night, didn't we? And we talked about why it hurt and why like it really hurt her that I did it. Like my little scoop of ice cream like really hurt her. We talked all about it. I was like, all right, next time we gotta find a different like avenue for you to be like, I don't want to go to a hotel with Dad. That looks so bad.
Yeah.
But it was stemmed from like she was so pissed. She wanted nothing to do with me. She wanted nothing to do with me last night. Like, I let her down because, like, yo, we have goals. You have a goal. We have a process. You have a process. And, like, and Ed Milet says it, like, your kids are going to figure you out. Yeah. Like, sooner or later, man. I was, like, harsh lesson last night, dude.
That is, man.
She's holding you accountable, right? So it goes both ways, right? I mean, and that's
something
kind
we
of
talked about.
You taught her that.
Today.
Well, for sure. And I'm also, like, I'm not going to reach my goals. Like, I've got massive goals for the next 6 months. And it's going to take an insane discipline. Now, I know that, like, that scoop of ice cream did not get in between me and achieving Everest or not. However, like, how many parts of my day, week, and month does that little bitty, just, like, that little dent in the armor, like, add up?
Yeah,
it
for
does.
Sure. Yeah.
And the fact that she sees it, I'm super proud of her. But man, like, no, I needed to be held in check. Like, no one would have held me in check last night, right? Yeah. Everyone, even her mom was like, Mia, you're on vacation. Like, this was okay. You need to get mad. And in my mind, I'm like, no, like, she directly correlated, and rightfully so. So, like dude, we have goals. Yeah. We write out the process to achieve the goal, and then we erase the goal. Mm-hmm. That's how our whole house operates. Yeah. And dude, watching her, like, be legitimately let down because I had a scoop of ice cream last night. People think it's so small, and I'm like, no, you're missing the point. Like, it's actually huge.
That hit you hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it should have let her down.
That's so important, and we were talking about this today because we had right before this, we got up early. My buddy, he has an e-commerce company, but he's starting up a run club here. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, yeah, we'll go. We check each other all the time as far as, hey, what comes out of your mouth is super important, right?
What do we call that? Championship
mindset?
Language.
Oh
yeah, what comes out of your mouth is massive.
So when you say I'm not a runner, it's like no, I'm just getting better at running right now, right? Yeah, I'm getting better at it. I'm just getting, I'm learning. I'm getting better at it.
It's a reframe,
right?
Yeah.
I'm not a runner. Who said you're not a runner? Who's a runner? You know what I mean? That guy that runs like 26 miles, but he runs at like a 13-minute pace. Like, he calls himself a runner, right? So like, it's the thing of which you interpret. So anyways, we go this morning though, and we run about 5 miles. So it's like we started at Bayshore, really cool. We run down Bayshore and came back. But there's this element of like, when you're running, right? You're like, man, I really could like step off the gas here a little bit. Like, maybe even walk, you know? Yeah. But you got a community of guys around you. Dude, and then you're like, it's pushing that pace a little bit.
I don't have that where I live, and I am dying on the vine.
I told him, I was like, man, like probably like 3 miles in, like there was a point where my legs were, starting to get that like little fatigue. Yeah. And like your mind starts playing tricks on you a little bit, right? And like I haven't been running much lately, so I was like, man, if I was by myself, I probably would have stopped to walk for a sec to like regain. Yeah. But y'all were all running still, so I was like, I gotta keep freaking running, dude. Like, it's keep going. And I did it. It was fine. Like,
but this is the power in that, and the reason why, like, you embody and you articulate your goals to your kids, and you tell it to your kids, is because they hold you accountable in the same manner of like that group that's running, right? Right. No, I gotta keep pace, right?
Your team. Yeah.
And so, like, if you're not dreaming in front of your kids, and you have goals, and they're not seeing that and holding you accountable along the way, you're gonna be like, yeah, I can take my foot off the gas. But as Craig Rochelle says, you got to do things consistently. What other people do occasionally to be great, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like dreaming in front of that. And I wrote an ebook on that this yesterday, just like kind of dialing in what it means to dream in front of a kid, right? And then having that be the level of accountability of like, actually, yeah, check myself. Like, actually, I can be better than that. That's 100%.
Awesome. And when you say can't, what do you got to say?
Can't, never could.
Can't, never could. You can say anything else in our house. You say the word can't, you will have 25 sprints. And like, if instead of saying can't, what are some examples?
You could say, I'm struggling, I need help, I'm unable to do this. You could just ask. Like
1,000 options, except for can't. Yeah. Because can't has a period. Mm-hmm. And you can't change can't. Uh-huh. And we put that in. Can't, never could. And that was when they were 2 and 4. I mean, like immediate.
I said that with my kids too, yeah.
I mean, you could slip and say the F word and get in less trouble in our house than the word can't. It is not allowed. It has no place. Championship language with your children, if you guys hear nothing else, hear this. It matters to the highest level. Like my oldest chasing this cheer dream. Like, her dream is cheering at the University of Tennessee, who just won the national championship in cheer. I'm like, yo, you can cheer almost anywhere you want. And there's like 10 schools that are really, really good. And I love that's her thing, right? And she came home from the gym one day, and she's like, I'm really struggling on this certain skill. And she's like, but I'm going to get this skill. And I'm like, well, what have you learned in that? And she's like, Dad, it's just championship language. And I was like,
Let's go.
You're just like, you can't prompt stuff. Like, you want to hear it coming out of that. She was stretching one morning. She goes, I'm like, hey, so I'm really proud of you for stretching. She goes, don't thank me. She goes, I didn't stretch for you today. I stretched for me. You start to see these like light bulbs click, and you're just like, and what Soph doesn't know is she sees everything. Right, so Soph doesn't realize that, like, when Soph said, Dad, I didn't stretch for you to do it, she goes, don't thank me. This is casual. We'll call right to school. I'm like, hey, Soph, I saw you stretching this morning before school. I want to let you know I'm proud of you. She's like, I didn't do it for you, though. So you don't have to thank me. Yeah. And I was like, yes. And I'm like, it wasn't even that. I'm happy. I'm like, your sister heard that though. Your sister saw you doing the stretching. Yeah. She heard, and there's that, Jesse says that, there's a whole 100 hours a year. If you spend 100 hours a year doing something, you'll be better than 95% of the people in the world that do that crap, right? So it's 18 minutes a day. So every day I'm like, you do 18 minutes? You do your 18 minutes a day, right?
Right.
That's it. And we talk about this. You got 18 minutes a day on your soccer school. You got 18 minutes a day on your cheer stuff. Now, do we train hard? Sure. But at a minimum, you got 18 minutes a day. And now I'm like, hey, you see Soap do her 18 minutes a day? Guess what? She has her soccer ball, and she's doing her skills in the basement. That kind of stuff, man. That stuff is super real in building blocks.
I freaking love that, man. You're crushing it, man, and you're very inspiring to me. Like my kids are a little bit younger than yours, and so like a lot of the stuff I'm gonna take from you and implement it. We're gonna have more conversations.
Well, thanks, Carl, man. We're definitely going to be bringing you back on, bro.
I can't wait.
Hands down. Yeah, definitely going to be
this
bringing you back
awesome.
on. We had a phenomenal conversation. So, as always, live full field, live beyond limits, baby.